In the darkest of days, in the age of deception, released on the masses, comes the death of
All right, the 80s, when the hair was long and the guitar solos were strong. The 80s. If you were around in the 80s playing guitar, then you're probably familiar with Jackson and Charvel guitars. They kind of dominated the metal scene back then. It seemed like everybody was playing one. And as a teenager, trying to get in bands and trying to play guitar, I vowed that I must have one. And the Jacksons were kind of the top dog at the time. But they also had the price tag to match that. Charvels were a little bit more affordable, but still, as a teenager living at home, not having much money, still kind of out of reach for me. But I finally did get one in the late 80s. I got a Charvel Model 3DR. I still have that. It's one of my, if not my favorite guitar to play. But today, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a 1987 Charvel Model 1A. Now these, I think, at the time went for about, I don't know, 400, 450 bucks back in the day. Like I said, as a teenager living at home, that was still way too much money for me. But I recently was looking around for a Strat. I decided I wanted to get a Strat guitar. And my first guitar ever was a knockoff, a Takai Strat, which I wish I still had. It was a great guitar. But I decided I wanted to get a Strat again. It just something about, the Strat and the kick guard just looks right, And anyway, in shopping around, I ran across this. It's in great shape, as you can see. I'll hold it up here. I mean, great shape. The only thing that I didn't like was back here. There's a little nick right here that I couldn't see in the photos. I found this on Guitar Center's used gear site. But I mean, that's not the end of the world. It's on the back. As you can see, the bolt-on neck plate made in Japan. It's got the Fort Worth plate. So they had it advertised as a 1986. Through my research, I'm pretty sure it's an 87, but I don't really mind that. That's fine. But anyway, I just decided, if I'm gonna have a Strat, it can be a Charvel Strat, right? At least they made enough sense to put the volume knob a little bit further away from your strumming hand. That's always my beef with the Strat. But anyway, this is it, and let's run down some specs on this in case you're wondering. I'm gonna kind of read off of a sheet here because I don't want to get them wrong. But I see a lot of these reviews and they don't really get into the actual details of the guitar. So I thought that's something I would want to know if I was watching a review. So I figured I'd let you guys know everything that I know about it. It's made in Japan, like I said. Jackson took over Charvel and shipped out their manufacturing to Japan to get a more affordable cost on the guitars. And they did, but like I said, they were still a little bit pricey. But the thing is the Japanese made ones, the craftsmanship on them is amazing. It's great. So they're really good guitars, especially considering, this thing's, old as the hills at this point, right? From 87, and some of you kids are probably like, that was last century, that's from the 1900s, right? But anyway, it came in the factory colors you could get it in was this red. I call it Ferrari red, but I think they just call it red. It's kind of boring, so Ferrari red, how about that? And then black, and they had a vintage ivory. The body is basswood. It's a quarter sawn, bolt-on maple neck and maple fingerboard. It's got a gloss finish on the neck and the fingerboard. Some people don't like that. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's just fine. It's got 22 frets on it. All the specs I found on these old guitars said they were extra jumbo frets. I'm not sure if that's true or not. They are definitely jumbo frets for sure. I'm not sure if they're, they live up to the jumbo fret name, but that's what the specs say. It had a carbon fiber nut up here, which I thought was pretty cool for the time. It's 25.5 inch scale length on the neck. It's got 12 to 16 inch compound radius on the neck, which means it's a little more round at the bottom where you're playing the chords, and it kind of flattens out as you go up. For the solos and stuff, those strong solos, they're easier to play on that neck. And if you guys have ever played a Charvel, you already know the necks are just beautiful and they feel great. The width is 43 millimeters at the nut, 52 millimeters at the 12th fret, and then 56 millimeters down at the final fret there. The thickness of the neck, which that's the one thing I love about these, they're not thick, but the thickness is 20 millimeters at the nut and 21.5 millimeters at the 12th fret. It has Jackson J100s for the single coils. Those are Alnico 5s, if you're wondering. They sound great. They sound as good as any Strat, in my opinion, if not better. And it's got one volume, 2 tones, a 5-way switch. Pretty standard stuff there. Again, for these being just the Jackson's factory pickups, they're really good. They're really great. I don't think I will be swapping those out. And I had the Goto 3-spring vintage tremolo where there's no locking nut or anything. I haven't really messed with the tremolo much. I don't use the tremolo much when I play, so I can't speak to how well it stays in tune. But I've bent the heck out of all the strings playing it, and it stays in tune pretty good. The tuners are Jackson branded tuners, and they're I couldn't really find much specs on those, but I can tell you from changing the strings on it, they are very high ratio because it takes many turns of the tuner to get the tuning peg to go around one time. When I got it, I took it to my friend who's a luthier, had him set it up. It's all intonated and everything. It's got really low action. The strings on it right now are the hybrid 9s, so it's the equivalent of what would be 10s on the top 3 strings and 9s on the bottom 3 strings. I usually use 10 heavy bottoms, but I wanted to have a little fun with the string bending on this one. But at any rate, again, this is the Charvel Model 1A. If you were ever a kid in the music stores in about '86, you know all about the Charvel catalog. This was on page 2, I believe, of that catalog, and I'm really happy to have it. The model series are great. I'm still working on trying to figure out how I can record some videos for you guys where I actually play these so you can hear them. I'm new to all of this, so bear with me. I'll get that figured out, and once I do, we'll circle back around and we'll do a follow-up video on this one and see how it plays, and we can see how what you think. At any rate, I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned. I've got more reviews coming up. We'll probably review that Charvel 3DR at some point, but lots more stuff coming your way. I appreciate the likes and the subscribers, and we'll see you next time.